Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Al and I's joint podcast. So it's Lead from the Driver's Seat with Al Rattan and Maximize Your Potential with myself. That's Chris Baker. And we've been talking about leadership, and hopefully you've been enjoying the discussions that Al and I have had. I know we have. If you are, then make sure that you follow us, right? Follow us on our respective podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you see us, right? Wherever you've seen this,
Yeah,
follow us.
please.
And please share as well. All right. Share the
Absolutely.
posts
Please do
with
that.
other people. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We also want to hear from you. So if you've got questions, you've got comments, feedback, please share it, because that's how we continue to grow. That's how we can best serve you, and help you to be the best version of yourselves, by delivering subjects and topics and answering questions that are important to you. So,
Absolutely.
Al, what are we talking about today on our leadership journey?
Well, before I dive in, because we do, folks, we do this on video as well, and then I post the video on YouTube and some social media sites. It's kind of funny that Chris and we did not plan this. So if you're seeing it on video, I got home this afternoon, changed, and I put on my Canada t-shirt. And then Chris logs in and he's got his UK t-shirt on, and then that wasn't planned. So we're both representing
We are
our 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 uh, our our home and native land, as we say in Canada, right? So I'm from Canada. Chris
indeed.
is from England and now in Florida. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. This was not planned. So here we are. But tonight we're going to talk about persistence and really, you know, well, I want to jump in right away here, Chris, and just ask you a question. How does
Mhm.
persistence tie into leadership?
For in so many ways, Albert. If you think about it in probably the most fundamental, um, I would say that as a leader, for me, we're trying to show people the way, right? We're trying to move forward. We're trying to pursue excellence, right? I don't believe in pursuing perfection, because perfection doesn't exist, because we can always get better. And
Absolutely.
therefore, if we're looking to get better, if we're in the pursuit of excellence, if we're working towards continuous improvement, you need to be persistent, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're not going to get it right first time. If we
No,
do, we're not stretching ourselves far enough, right?
100%. And I think that too, I think so many people and you hear the stories and you read the stories and you see the pain that comes along with these stories is when people give up just before, right? We can even think back to, great book, 3 feet from gold, right?
Yeah.
And the stories behind that, and how
Hmm.
a miner gives up just shy of striking gold and sells off his claim, and somebody else persists on a little further and strikes it rich. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of people tend to give up just before they're
Yeah.
they're going to reach that victory, right? Or that next step in their pursuit of their dream or their goal or their desire.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's sad. I think it's sad. And I, in my home office, I have a poster that says persistence, not giving up until you succeed. And
Hmm.
I'll be completely transparent with our listeners. There's been days, there's been days, where I've actually sat on the couch and turned to my wife and said, "Why am I doing this?" Right?
Yeah.
I should why should I do this? Like I'm just gonna quit, right? Because you get frustrated and discouraged. But
Yeah.
then I think back and look at that poster and go, well, I kind of have it on my wall. I can't really give
Hmm.
up. And I tell other people to persist, coaching
It's true.
clients, stick to it, persist, push through the struggle. We're going to get to the victory. And I'd be kind of hypocritical if I gave up and quit. But I'm just being
Yeah.
real with y'all.
No, I remember you saying that to me, Al, probably a little while ago, and I the same. I've said to you, like, I get frustrated trying to help people, and they don't want to help themselves. But at the end of the day,
Exactly.
it just means that we there's something needs to change,
Yeah,
right? Something needs to change, and we've got to be persistent in finding that thing, right? And
exactly.
it's the test and adjust, right? Um, you know, uh, when John Maxwell. You talk about John Maxwell. I remember him saying about the guy that came up to him after he did a speaking event, and
Mm,
the guy said to him, oh gosh, I want to do what you do so badly. And John said, that's great, but do you want to do what I did to get here?
exactly. Exactly.
And people don't.
No.
We live in what I call a microwave society,
Mhm.
right? We've been conditioned to expect everything just like that.
Instantly, right? And you don't get you're nobody's an overnight success.
Yeah,
No matter
an
what the saying
overnight
is, nobody's
success
an
takes
overnight
20
success.
years. Yeah,
Yeah,
it takes
exactly.
20 years. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that, just backing up for a moment when you said that, you're tired of trying to help people that don't want to be helped. And what needs to change is we're targeting the wrong people, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I think for you and I and our desire to help people grow, we need people that are hungry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I think there's more to that as well, though, Al. I think it comes from within as well, right? I
Mhm.
think again, when I think back to my personal growth journey and the efforts that I've made to try and help other people, the same thing happened. And I wanted it to be a success overnight.
Mhm.
I wanted to just put a post out there and expect 20 people to sign up for a course. Well, why should they? Right? They don't know who
Exactly.
Chris Baker is.
Who's
They're
Chris? Yeah.
yeah.
Who is
So
this guy?
so there
Yeah.
that's where persistence comes in, because we will keep putting out the messages. We'll keep sharing. We'll we need to find for ourselves what it is that who we truly are, right? What we truly believe in, and then we need to live in that. We need to be that, and continue that message, and eventually the people will come.
Absolutely. And you know
Right?
what? I think that, that comes back to, I think, sowing the seeds, right? We're going to keep serving, we're going to keep
Hmm.
showing up, and eventually, and I'll tell you, if I'd given up 2 years ago like I thought I would, and this was mid-COVID and nothing was happening and people
Yeah.
weren't buying and everybody was sick of Zoom meetings and everything else. And I can use that as an excuse. And I thought about using it as an excuse and giving up and quitting. But I can tell you that
Mm.
if I had, I'm no, I'm not saying this to brag, and I'm not going to share numbers, but I wouldn't have had my best year ever, which
Right.
is actually this year,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
And and but I continued to persist. I continued to sow those seeds, and
yeah.
the harvest is coming. The law of sowing and reaping is a universal law. You can't get around it.
Right. And I would challenge you to be even more appreciative of what you've done, and take the financial thing out of it, right? Yes, the financial thing is a result,
Mhm.
but look at the impact that you've had. How many people have you helped during that best year ever? How
Yeah,
many people have you helped them to understand themselves, to advance their leadership career, um, to also share that with other people,
yeah, you're right. You're right. And then,
right?
and we're going to
That's the
talk.
important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about the book Think and Grow Rich and persistence from
Mm.
that book in a minute. And Think and Grow Rich too is not everything is about money. It's not. It's not. It's about the whole being, right? Your whole life.
Right.
And
Right.
you're right. And I get the honor. I'm doing a workshop on Friday, full day workshop, and on the 17 laws of teamwork with an local organization. And a lot of those contracts that signed at the beginning of the year are going to get to continue to help and serve these
Hmm.
teams through the end of August. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. You're right. And I
It's great.
thank you for reminding me of that. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we all need to remind us that. So if we dive into persistence a little bit, and I just want to, so Chris and I first, I mean, I think I know I've definitely read Think and Grow Rich on numerous times.
Right.
But in 2017, Chris and I were both part of a group study. And one of the assignments in this group study was when we were going through the Think and Grow Rich book. Remember, we had to read the chapter on persistence
Yeah.
every day for 14 days.
Yeah.
And if you missed a day, this was on the honor system now. If you missed a day, you had to start back over at day one and read it for 14
Right.
consecutive days. And I can tell you, Chris, there were some nights when it was like, I'd go to bed and it's like, oh crap, and it's 11:30 at night, and I'm trying to get
Right.
I'm trying to get through the chapter on persistence before midnight, so I wouldn't have to start all over again. But I'll
Yeah,
tell you, it takes persistence to read the same chapter over and over again 14
it
times.
does.
And if you haven't done it, folks, I challenge you, start tomorrow. Or start
Right.
tomorrow. Whenever you hear this podcast, start tomorrow and read the chapter from Think and Grow Rich 14 times. But he talks in here, Napoleon Hill talks in here, and he talks about there's necessary steps. There's necessary steps that lead to the habit of persistence. And before I even get into those steps, what are your thoughts around that, forming the habit
Mm.
of persistence?
It's a really interesting thing, and I remember, Al, when we were tasked with reading this chapter. People may not realize. I think it's chapter 9. I think in Think and Grow Rich, and I was like, "Why are we reading chapter 9? And why aren't we starting at chapter 1 and reading that over and over?" And and you condition to that, but the habits are amazing things, right? We form habits either intentionally or unintentionally. And habits
Absolutely.
can be good habits, they can be bad habits. Right. And I think it's so key to form this habit of persistence, because if you don't, what happens, as you say, is you give in at the first hurdle.
Exactly.
Right. And if you give in, then you're actually going to live your life in regret, because you're going to have that what if or if only moment. Right. Hands
Yeah.
up those are listening. And again, on a system we can't see you, but hands up if you've ever had a if only or what if moment. Right. I've got my hand up, I
I've,
have.
I've
All
got my
right.
hand up. Absolutely.
I vowed, after studying Think and Grow Rich and really understanding it, and our study was, initially it was an 8 week, and then we did a year-long study, folks, on one book.
Mhm.
Right, year-long study.
Yep.
And I vowed after that that I would never have that what if or if only moment again. I would not live in I didn't want to live in the fear of failure. I was going to live in the fear of regret.
Absolutely. I mean, we're doing this podcast because of one of those what if moments, right? Like you said to
Right.
me, on my part, you said to me, "Hey Al, I want to do this. Do you want to do it with me?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah." I mean, it's like, for a fraction of a second goes through my mind. It's like, "Oh my goodness, how am I going to fit this into my schedule?"
Right.
But that was there for a fraction of a second, and then the persistence part of me, the habit of persistence kicked in, and I went, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do it."
Mm.
And and our whole, of course, we're hoping we reach people and help people, but we're doing this as much for us as we are
It's
for you.
absolutely. And it's interesting because I've just done a little mastermind group that I do twice a month, only with a couple of people, and we were talking about this, that we want to do good for other people, right? We want to serve other people. To do that,
Absolutely.
we have to look after ourselves, and we have to be right. It's not being selfish. And I shared, because one of the guys is in the military, actually in Uruguay, and I said, think about this. Think about you being your plane, right? If if you didn't have a mechanic service your plane,
Mm.
right, get everything up
Mhm.
and running so that it was ready to go. If you didn't have somebody put fuel in that plane, and you got in it and you tried to go off and help somebody else who do a plane, would it work? And the answer
Absolutely
is
not.
no. So
Yeah.
we have to look after ourselves, right? We have to be ready to do what we want to do to serve, and it's different for all of us, right? But to do that, you have to be persistent, because I guarantee you'll have good days, you'll have bad days, and persistence, the habit of persistence, will carry you through those bad days.
Absolutely. And I mean, and that's what we need. We need that. We need to build these strong, healthy, good habits in our life,
Hmm.
because the bad days are going to come. And I mean, I was looking down and just scanning this page, the page prior to it. We want to talk about these 4 steps that he talks about in this, for developing the habit of persistence. But the one paragraph on the previous page says, it talks about the story of Eddie Cantor. He says, lost his money. And then again, not just all about money, but this particular part's on money.
Hmm.
Eddie Cantor lost his money in the crash, but he still had had his persistence and his courage. So You lose all of your money. How is that going to make you feel? Are you going to curl up in a ball and cry? Maybe for an hour or two, you have permission, but then get
Mhm.
up and start going again, right? But he had his persistence and the courage. And with these plus two prominent eyes, he exploited himself back into an income of $10,000 a week in 1929.
Yeah, right.
In 1929. So, I mean, I'm just saying that he had already previously, before this crash, developed that habit of persistence. And if we learn to do that today and start
Mhm.
developing this habit of persistence in our life, when those bumps in the road come, we're going to be able to push through and carry on. So,
Yeah.
Chris, just really quick. So he talks in here and I'll just read the 4 steps really quick. He talks about the 4 steps needed for building this habit of persistence. He talks about a definite purpose backed by a burning desire for its fulfillment. Let's touch on that first. So this definite purpose, that's really knowing where you're headed, not just coasting through life or going along with the wave of life, but
Yeah.
really having that purpose in your heart, in your mind, heading where you want to go. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's, and again, this is where, everybody listening, this is where there is no set rule on this, right? And it's
No,
almost like open to interpretation, or what it means to you. To
absolutely.
me, that Al's perfectly right what he says. Um, but I also look at that and saying it's understanding who you are, right? It's understanding your values. It's understanding what's important to you and why that's important. Because that is, to me, that is the thing that has grounded me, so that when
Yeah,
I make my decisions, I make them based on those things.
right.
Is it in harmony with those, or is it against those? If it's
And when you
against those, it's the wrong decision, right?
Yeah, and when it's against those, it's a very easy decision to make. No, it doesn't line up
Usually.
with my values, my purpose, my mission, my vision, my values. So it's easy to say no and move on, right?
Well,
And I like
as
that.
long as you understand those. Yeah, as
Exactly,
long as you
exactly.
understand those,
And see,
right?
this is why Chris and I get along so well because we have great discussions around, again, the different interpretations we're having around this one sentence in this one book.
Yeah,
And it challenges us to think and expand our thinking. And hopefully we're doing the same for you.
yeah,
The next is a definite plan expressed in continuous action.
yeah. Action is huge, right? It's the difference. There's we're recording this on May the 4th, right? So May the 4th be with you, Al.
Thank you,
So
sir.
if
Thank you.
you are Star Wars, you'll know Yoda, right? And
Mhm.
Yoda, one of his famous saying is, "Do or do not. There is no try."
Exactly. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that is basically, is taking action.
Mhm.
You're doing something.
Mhm.
Right? You're taking action. Whereas, as what most people do is maybe say, when I become a leader, I'll take leadership classes, right?
It's
Or
too
when I
late.
become a leader, I'll help that person to get better.
Too late.
No, too
Yeah.
late. Yeah.
Mhm.
Take action, do it now. Be the person you want to become.
Exactly. It's sort of like that. What's that, 4 logs four frogs are sitting on a log, 3 decide to jump off. How many are left?
Right.
Well, 4
Well,
because they didn't take the action yet, right?
correct.
And I think so many people like, I wish I could, I want to do,
Hmm.
and then never take the action to become who
Yeah.
they need to be to do that.
Yeah.
Number 3, and this is a big one because there are dream stealers out there, folks. There are
Hmm.
dream stealers, and you probably have some in your family. But number 3 is a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances.
Yeah.
And I could just tell you, man, I can't, I, I, it's happened to me
Hmm.
where one person has said something about me not being able to do that. And I took that as my reality and I believed them
Hmm.
and I gave up on things because of those words.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'd go deeper on that as well and say we can
Please,
self sabotage and do that to ourselves, right?
100%.
It's all to do with limiting beliefs, guys. And what happens is that our minds believe thing, or our minds tell us something and we believe it because our mind is telling it us,
Hmm.
right? It's not
Hmm.
necessarily true,
Hmm.
right? But we believe it, and therefore, if we believe it, that's a limiting belief. We stop, we quit.
And that's, without trying to go too deep on this one, but that's where, that's the power of the subconscious mind. Because
Hmm.
again, we're telling the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind doesn't know if it's true or false. It just says it hears it, right? And it must be true because that's what they're
Right?
saying, right? Al's not
I bet.
worthy because that's what they said.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
believe that to be true, whether it
yeah,
is or not. I believe it.
exactly. So we need to start telling our subconscious mind that we do have value. We do have the skill set. We do have the
Yeah,
drive. We do have the persistence to push forward and move forward.
correct.
So again, too, right? Like, and the law of the inner circle, right? 21 laws of leadership,
Hmm.
the law of inner circle. Who are you allowing into your inner circle and truly to speak into your life?
Yeah,
And if the people around you are consistently pulling you down, you have the wrong inner circle. And it's time to have a conversation with them. And if they're unwilling to change, it's time to eject them from your inner circle, to be
right,
honest. Right.
right.
And number 4, Chris, because we don't want to take too long here, but a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose.
Yeah. And that really ties on from what you just said, right? It's having the people around you that are going to lift you up,
Mhm.
having the people around you that are going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear.
And it could be either way. It could be, hey, Al, you're
Right?
heading down the wrong path here. I can see a little further down the road from you, and there is a cliff, and you're running full steam ahead with your
Yeah,
blindfolds on, right? And so,
yeah.
again, there's wisdom that can come from those around you, and there's
Hmm.
dream stealers that can come from those around you. So you have to learn to discern what is the right message you should be listening to.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
this is a good book.
I know, right? We could talk for well, we talked a year on this. We could we could
We
do quite easily do that. And
Absolutely.
folks, you'll probably find that as we go through this leadership journey with you, I am like 100% certain that we will reference this book again
Oh,
multiple
easily,
times,
easily, easily.
multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, and here's the thing again, just sort of when we wrap up persistence, you could listen to this podcast, you could take some notes. You could put those notes, if it's on your iPhone or if it's on a piece of paper, you turn it over and you never do anything with it. You've had a great 20, 25 minutes, not going to make a jot of difference in your life,
No.
right? But if you listen to whether you choose to listen to Al and I every week or another leadership podcast or something that interests you, if you listen to something and you study it and you review it and you learn from it every single week, I guarantee you will get everything you want in life.
Yeah. You're gonna have growth.
Right? Bold promise, but it's one that I can 100% stand behind.
Yeah.
If you don't, the chances of you getting everything you want in life are slim.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's not gonna just happen. You have to work for it, and that means
correct.
persistent.
Yeah.
So, folks, as we wrap up this evening, I want to encourage you again, just do this. Develop that habit of persistence. It will
Hmm.
help you succeed in life, all of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a challenge. I know we didn't talk about setting a challenge for our listeners, but just thinking about it,
Yeah, please.
this is a challenge that you can do. Pick something simple that you would love to start doing. Could be anything, and I'll give you an example in a minute. But pick it, do it for 21 days, every day. I know
Mhm.
we said we read this chapter for 14 days, but I think I want you to do it for a little bit longer. So do it every single day and see if you can create that habit. If you do it and you put your mind to it, you will do. And I did this example. I think I used it in my book that I wrote, but I did this. I think it was 2004. where I was listening to, again, some personal growth material, and it was about creating habits. And I'm right-handed, I'm right-footed. Everything I do is I'm right-sided dominant. And I decided at that point that I was in the morning. I have routines when I get ready in the morning. Again, that's persistence. It's like it's muscle memory. It's
Yeah.
ingrained in me now.
Yeah.
But one of the things I decided I was going to do is when I get ready, I'm going to put my left sock on before my right sock. And then when it's time to put my shoes on, I'm going to put my left shoe on before my
Oh,
right
wow.
shoe.
That's a
Right.
stretch.
And I did that every single day for, I think it was actually 27 days. I said I was going to do it, but I did it every single day. And I can tell you now that's like 18 years ago. And I can tell you 100% every single time I get ready now, my left sock goes on before my right sock, my left shoe before
Wow.
my right shoe. It's
Wow.
just automatic.
Yeah.
So you can create a habit. I challenge you to create a habit. Don't pick something like crazy difficult. Just pick something simple
Yeah. Don't say I'm going to
and do
run
it
10
every
miles a
day.
day starting tomorrow. That's not going to happen unless you're running 10 miles
Uh,
a day today, right? But
Correct.
it could be something simple. Change your routine a little bit. Take a different route to work. Commit to reading 10 minutes a day. Commit to journaling at the end of every day before you go to bed, and start developing
Right.
those good habits of persistence. Because here's the thing, right? If you can persist in those little things, you'll be able to persist through the larger obstacles, larger tasks that come along. Because if you can't even
Exactly.
persist through those little things, then you're going to develop the habit of giving up instead of the habit
Right.
of persisting. So
Correct. And
excellent.
post, let us know what habit it is you're doing and how you're
Yeah,
getting on with
please
it.
do. That'd be great to hear.
Share it, and it'd be interesting. So,
Yeah.
Al, this has been great. I love our conversation. Again, we could talk more and more. So,
Oh, we could go for an hour easily on this tonight, but we won't.
right. No, I know. I look forward to our next episode. Hopefully, you guys will do. Remember, follow us, like us on social media, share it with as many people as you can. Let's
Please
spread
do.
the love. Let's spread the knowledge, and let us know what habit you're creating. What
Excellent.
persistence habit.
So find Chris on Maximize Your Potential podcast. I'm Lead from the driver's seat. And again, you can find us on all social media platforms and podcast platforms. So everybody
Yeah.
have an amazing week. We love and appreciate you. Thanks for showing up, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.